Hey everyone, it's Ian from the Postal Hub podcast.
And Marek from Last Mile Experts.
And we are the Last Mile Prophets. And we're going to talk about FedEx today because FedEx recently released its fourth quarter results. And there were some interesting little tidbits tucked away in there, weren't there, Marek? Especially when it comes to residential delivery. FedEx has seen a significant surge in deliveries to homes during the pandemic. Pretty much everybody's seen that. Here's the key statistic. 72% of shipments in the US went to residences in the last quarter compared to 56 a year ago, 56%, leading to various increases in revenue and blah, blah, blah,
And that
blah,
makes
blah, blah.
FedEx a B2C operator, doesn't it? Even if they don't like to admit it.
It probably does. The major carriers in the US that might have built their reputation and their revenue streams on B2B can no longer ignore the rise of B2C, can they? And they can no longer sort of put it in the too hard basket or try to say, well, we're never going to make money on it, can they?
Oh, absolutely. The thing is growing so fast. It's the only sector that's growing fast, or this fast. And with COVID, I think the growth is even more differentiated when it comes to B2C compared to B2B. So it's there. You can't avoid it. You either have to find a way to make it work or fall by the wayside, as, you know, my favorite example, as Polaroid did.
Well, there we go. We're on 1.5 minutes in, everybody. We haven't mentioned parcel lockers yet. So,
Or out of home.
Or out of home. FedEx did limit some of its customers. I think Coles, for example, the number of orders that could be shipped via their network. Plenty of carriers did something similar. DHL did it. Amazon even throttled some of its suppliers so that it was able to cope with volumes. There are also some surcharges that FedEx threw in there as well, but we're not going to get into all that. We really want to focus on this, the residential delivery and how it's no longer in the too hard basket. Why do you reckon they've been ignoring it? I mean, this is something we've never really talked about. Why do you reckon that these carriers have been trying to sort of, not ignore it?
I'm going to use a phrase that you know I love called legacy thinking. And that's the answer. Because in my view, it can be done. They've done a lot of things. To be fair, they really have started developing out-of-home capabilities. It came up out of home. They don't have so many lockers, but they do have access to what we call PUDOs, what they call access points.
Yeah, they've really worked to grow those PUDO points with various partnerships over the last year and a half. Yeah.
And that's fundamental because it means not only that you have a lower cost to serve the last mile, but you have better customer experience choice and guess what? Higher first-time delivery. So they've done a lot of good things. And I think they've shown to themselves that this whole legacy thinking about B2C being difficult, impossible to make money on, etc., is a bit of a red herring.
They've also started delivering 7 days a week from the beginning of this calendar year, if I recall correctly, which is another step forward towards creating this customer-centric delivery network. And we know that UPS made a similar announcement, and the Postal Service has been doing 7 days a week for even longer. Why was it doing 7 days a week? Marek, can you remember?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you why they're doing 7 days a week. There's a little company called Amazon that's demanding it from all of their partners, and actually it's simultaneously educating the customers to expect it. I won't remind you my story about 7 days a week service, where basically I got a message from Seattle that it has to happen when I was at Amazon. As an old parcel guy, I said, you're never going to make it work, but I didn't understand, and this was my legacy thinking, I didn't understand e-commerce enough at that time. And guess what? It did work. Customers loved it, and it worked very quickly.
Yeah, and I remember going back probably almost 10 years, talking to parcel contractors. So these are the people who are doing the last mile, and they were 5 day a week. They had a 5 day a week contract with Australia Post. I know we started talking about FedEx, and here I am talking about parcel contractors, but bear with me. They would go in on a Sunday to start their preparation work. Not all of them. Some would go in on a Sunday to do their preparation work. So on Monday, which was always a big day for parcels, they'd be ready to cope with it. And it always struck me, I thought, well, look, this is not far away from, and this is years ago, getting to a point where you've got such volumes that you need to be delivering more than 5 days a week just to meet the volumes and to have the capacity.
And it also means that you have a capacity, you have an ability not to plug the network with too much at any one given moment in time. I think and by the way, one of the surprising things at weekends was roads are much less crowded, and it actually contrary to what you'd expect, it sometimes can be more efficient, even though one would say that, Sunday delivery, less density and so on, which, by the way, with e-commerce is not always the case.
Yeah, I mean, that's a key point about density. Probably something we're not going to get into right now. Another thing with FedEx is it's got its express unit and its ground unit. I know that plenty of analysts and commentators have talked about how this is just a waste. They've got two vans going down the same street every day. But they have started to try to merge some of those, haven't they? Do you think that's going to make a difference alongside things like the out-of-home delivery?
I think that there's a lot of opportunity for synergy. Sometimes Express does have different requirements and it cannot be merged easily. But actually, sometimes I believe that things like late cutoffs can work with an Express service. So you could have two line hauls. One is an Express-based one, which actually takes some of the ultra-urgent domestic stuff, and vice versa, non-urgent international or economy international can go through the domestic network. So I think it could be put together as one whole that serves both units as an infrastructure. But someone needs to really sit down and think about it. For me, the most important point would be for them to be a successful B2C operator, they need to think domestically, multi-domestic. That's why in Europe, DPD has been very successful because it is, people say international, but actually it is a multi-domestic operator. Each country has a lot of independence. And I think that's the message for the integrators to think about making their domestic footprint very much independent, and the Express takes advantage of it, but it's a separate organization.
Now, we won't get into things like the TNT acquisition and all of that because that'll, and the various issues that have been there, but there's a couple of things I really want to quickly cover before we wrap this up. And you mentioned Amazon earlier, and FedEx and Amazon have a bit of a love-hate relationship at the moment, shall we say. And FedEx has its own fulfillment.
Or hate the love, actually, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it sort of swings a bit more one way than the other at the moment. Could FedEx set itself up to be more than... It's just got this fulfillment. It's not called fulfillment by FedEx. Or maybe it is FedEx fulfillment or something like that. Could FedEx, stopping short of being an e-commerce retailer, really challenge those areas where Amazon sort of had its own, fulfillment by Amazon and all of that, bearing in mind that Amazon is directly competing against the likes of FedEx in the last mile. And we've seen in the UK just recently, they're opening up shipping with Amazon to other e-commerce retailers. So just a quick couple of thoughts there, Marek, about where FedEx could head with regard to its fulfillment and its entire global network compared to what Amazon's doing.
Anyone who has the resources and is willing to prioritize can do that. But I think the key thing would be they need to partner with a very strong e-commerce, because the thing about fulfillment is you need the parcels and you need information about the parcels. So for me, the only way they could really do it is to partner with someone really big
like
who has
eBay.
Well, you see, this is the thing. eBay doesn't have that infrastructure, and this is eBay's problem. But it could be somebody like Target or one of the other big, let's call it bricks and mortar oblique e-commerce players who could deliver the volumes and the knowledge. Target, who did Target buy? Didn't it buy Delivs?
Yeah, and there's also been moves and things like partnerships with Shopify and things like that. It's an interesting and dynamic segment of the market. Sure, there are people at FedEx who are looking at this right now, but it's an interesting thing for us just to bear in mind as the B2C delivery segment grows. We've only got a couple of seconds left, Marek. Any final thoughts?
Well, final thought is actually, if I were FedEx, I'd take a step back, get the B2C right before they go into fulfillment or other things. Really do a great job, get the IDM right, get the out-of-home right, get the customer experience right. And if they do those things, there is no reason why you can't make money out of B2C.
Comment below, everybody. Join us next time on The Last Mile Profits.
Hey, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this episode of The Last Mile Profits.
Make sure you subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and also the notifications bell so you get a notification every time we add a new video to this channel. Look forward to sharing more stuff with you on The Last Mile Profits.